Support WrestleTalk!
Order the magazine using the link below.
What is going on with The Undertaker? I'm Ollie Davis, this is Luke Owen, and welcome to a special edition of WrestleRamble where we'll be doing a play-by-play review of Raw's 25th anniversary. If you want to hear some news about the Enzo Amore story, there is a news episode on that for you to watch. We won't be addressing it here. But The Undertaker, he came out in front of the Manhattan Center in the Hammerstein Ballroom, which for a moment...
Not the Hammerstein Ballroom, the Manhattan Center. The Manhattan Center.
No. You're doing the same thing I thought. The Hammerstein Ballroom is within the Manhattan Center.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so I was very confused for a long period of time. I thought it was two different locations up until now.
I always thought it was two different locations as well. Oh, well.
So I'm sure a lot of people...
Every day's a school day.
You're not real wrestling fans. You didn't know arguably the most famous venue in modern wrestling history.
That's not true at all, is it? Because that's Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, well, okay, it's up there.
And the Georgia Dome.
Anyway, Undertaker. I said modern wrestling history. Undertaker. He came out in front of wherever the old school stuff was, not with the smoke and not with the lights and not with his Undertaker hat on, because he did the sexy striptease to take that all off at WrestleMania 33. And he walked out and he cut a promo in front of the live crowd, who were all very excited to see him. They were like, holy S-word was the big chant. But then, like, at the end of it, everyone was kind of, okay, what was that?
So my reading of this, and you and I kind of disagree on this slightly, my reading of this felt like a retirement speech. This felt like a guy who came out and said, like, I've been taking souls for 25 years. I've been digging holes for legends like Ric Flair. And he cut like his big long spiel about all the stuff that he's accomplished. And then more or less at the end of it was just like, and that's it. Because the long rumour, and particularly like we talked about this last week, that it was, quote, all but confirmed that at WrestleMania it was going to be Undertaker versus John Cena, and you'd have thought they were going to use Raw 25 to set that up. And yet here we are, Raw 25, and they were both in different locations, and Cena seemed to be setting up a program with Elias rather than the Undertaker. So to me, this very much felt like a, hey guys, I'm here because it's Raw's 25th anniversary show. I was on Raw 1. I was on the first episode of Raw here in the Manhattan Center, and I'm going to ring out my career, my last appearance in front of a WWE crowd at the Manhattan Center.
It's interesting that you bring up the whole John Cena thing, because that's been the long reported thing for about a month now. Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer has been reporting that, and so have like those little Twitter accounts like WrestleVotes, who seem to have some form of inside source. And when this happened, because it was in the first hour that The Undertaker's big return happened and the promo, I figured, oh, okay, they've left it really vague, so it could go either way. And then, for a big surprise, because The Undertaker's already made his return at a different venue, he's going to appear in the last segment and take out John Cena. That's your hot go-home angle for the Rumble. Enters himself into the Rumble, maybe, as number 30. What a great piece of fantasy booking that would be. But that didn't happen either. The last line, so this was Undertaker's promo sign-off after talking about his career and Raw. For all of those who have fallen, it is truly time you rest in peace. And then Jim Ross sort of played that up like, is he teasing something?
Yeah, he said that sounds like a challenge, or like those are, you know, he said something along those lines, which I then was a bit surprised at, because I mean, I'll be honest, JR and Jerry were all over the show. Neither watched the product, neither really knew who or the storylines going in and stuff. But to me, I mean, they played it up like it wasn't, but the content of the promo suggested otherwise.
I don't know. I think that last line, it is truly time you rest in peace for all those who have fallen. It's like, I'm going to avenge all of those people I've slain. Slain?
Yeah, slain I would go with.
Slain? Yep. To finally have one last victory at WrestleMania. I don't think it's as conclusive as you say, and Meltzer has said since that it's something's going to happen in the next few weeks to set up Taker.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's still the plan. Because if this was Taker's proper retirement promo, because all he did after WrestleMania was the sexy striptease, then it's not conclusive enough. It's not like... If it was a retirement promo, I felt like he would have said more stuff definitively about retirement.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, with this Undertaker promo, it's very much in the Bray Wyatt, Matt Hardy vein at the moment, where it's like, stuff was said, and it was delivered well, but it was just stuff. And it didn't really, nothing of it really resonated, nothing made you excited to see the Undertaker come back. I mean, to be honest, I feel like I'm kind of over it now. Like, the Undertaker, last year's WrestleMania felt like that was the Undertaker's retirement. He did the sexy striptease, he left the jacket and the hat in the ring, broke character by kissing Michelle McCool at ringside, and then sunk into the stage. And I was like, cool, so that's it, that's the Undertaker retired. It was a terrible match to go out on, but at the same time, the Undertaker is retired, he's had an amazing career, and he got to headline WrestleMania one last time. So then when he sort of came back here, I was like, well, that's kind of sort of rendered that quite pointless. And if he just has another WrestleMania match now, then what was the ending of that WrestleMania all about? Make up your mind. Are you retiring or you're not? You can't keep doing a Ric Flair where you just or a Terry Funk is actually a better example, where it's like, this is my retirement match, and then 3 months later being like, oh, by the way, I'm back now. Haha, it's a Raw review, looking jacked, man.
So the Raw episode itself kicked off with Jim Ross and Jerry the King Lawler in a fantastically recreated set in the Manhattan Center Hammerstein Ballroom.
I would say Manhattan Center. That's what they called it.
That's what they called it, yeah. Even with the Ico Pro banner.
Yep.
The failed sports supplement drink. That's what it was, wasn't it?
If memory serves. I can't fully remember. But people who were there at the arena tweeting about it, because I basically, as soon as I saw people heading into the Manhattan Center, I was like, right, I'm jumping off Twitter now because I want to be surprised when I watch this the following day. And the tweets that I did see before I jumped off social media were people going like, this is like stepping into a time warp. Like, I really feel like I've been transported back to 1993. It was a really faithful recreation.
I'd be interested to know if they did anything to the cameras as well. I mean, it was still shot 16:9, but the colours look so vibrant and reminiscent of the old style. And the light, I guess it's all lighting and set design, but it did, hats off to them. And seeing Jerry the King Lawler in full King regalia and Jim Ross,
and with
really nice.
With the actual font as well, with the 93 Raw font to show their names. I thought that was a really nice touch.
Really good stuff.
Yeah.
Then they threw over to the Barclays Center.
Yeah.
With Stephanie McMahon and Shane McMahon in the ring. You had the modern day, more inferior announcers, I guess. But Corey Graves was the best thing on the show, announcing-wise.
Usually. Like that. I mean, that's pretty much standard these days.
And Shane, they were all in tuxedos.
Yes. Well, of course, it's a big event.
It's a big event. And Shane gets his cheap pop in, and they do a video of Raw's best moments, like a 4-minute highlight reel.
Oh, I've got to be honest. Right. People say that I'm very negative on WWE. People say that you and I are very negative on wrestling, and we make our bucks just constantly criticizing the product and things like that. And perhaps I have become very cynical in my old age. I don't really think I ever quite enjoy the product at the moment. But this video package, I think, and I kind of looked at it, and I was like looking at the crowd at the Barclays Center and the people that were in the Manhattan Center, and I was like, these wrestling fans have all just come together to kind of celebrate this thing. This video package almost brought a tear to my eye, because I was like, what a wonderful time we have all had with this company, and this company has brought us together. We have an amazing wrestling, a comments community on the WrestleRamble and WrestleTalk news episodes. Really did bring a bit of a tear to my cynical eye.
Yeah, it was really nice, especially with the big nostalgia fan service with the Manhattan Center.
Yeah.
Really good stuff. Of course, CM Punk was in there.
He said he was. He was
doing the pipe bomb.
Yeah, he threw the pipe bomb, and they showed a picture of him doing the pipe bomb promo later.
Which pretty much confirms he's returning.
Oh, yeah, well, obviously, yeah. I mean, that's exactly what I thought. I was waiting for him to come right down at the end of the show and attack Brock Lesnar.
And Shane and Stephanie said, well, really, there's one person we have to thank for all of this, apart from all the backstage people and you, the fans, and it's Vince McMahon. And Vince McMahon came out, and he was playing the humble act. He said, I'm not one to pat myself on the back, so, and he goes to leave.
I loved the crowd singing No Chance.
Yeah.
That was so great.
Because everyone was there to have fun.
Yeah.
I was so excited. It felt like a genuinely fun wrestling show, which sort of like with house show elements, at least at the start, and then I think the act got old, but we'll get onto that. So Vince McMahon goes to leave, and Stephanie's like, "Wait there, Dad. We have a present for you," and it's a plaque.
Funded by GoFundMe.
Yeah, but
very nice touch.
There wasn't much.
No.
There wasn't many donations, so it's not amazing. And that just, what a lovely, cheesy, beautiful way to transition from Vince McMahon into Mr. McMahon.
It was all in one line as well, where it's like, looks very cheap. I mean, we are in Brooklyn, so that doesn't come as a surprise. I was like, oh, that's so good. It's so brilliant.
And I was like, I wish more heels were like this, where all the crowd are like, boo! Like, big smiles on their faces. Hate it, but it was just, love to hate someone.
This was awesome.
Chanting asshole.
Yep.
Great stuff, and it just brought back for a moment like Vince was Mr. McMahon again, and he hasn't really captured that in recent years. It was just so fun. That was and this segment for me was by far the best thing on the entire show.
Yeah, man, I'd agree with that.
I was prepared. I thought, God, if they're hitting this tone now, this could be an in-awe episode. I was fully set up for this to be 5 out of 5. But yeah, Vince McMahon starts ragging on everyone, and he says, "There's no one else to thank but me." Glass shatters.
It was just what I loved about this is that everyone knew it was coming, because you had Vince McMahon in the ring, you had Shane McMahon in the ring, and everyone's like, and Vince McMahon's being his Mr. McMahon dickish self. So the entire crowd all of a sudden were like, okay, cool. So we're going to wait for the glass to shatter, and it just built this real this wave amongst people waiting for it. And as soon as that glass shattered, the pop was incredible, and out comes Austin, looking great. Looks like he hasn't aged a day, because it's quite easy when you shave your head and you just have a goatee. And it was so great. And then Vince essentially cut this promo. Stephanie got out of dodge because she's not taking a stunner. Well, I mean, she can't get her.
She should do.
She's not getting her comeuppance taken. It's not WrestleMania yet.
She was quite annoying here. Did you hear? She kept on putting in her little improvised off count, sort of butting in on the back of people's lines. And none of them were funny enough to warrant her doing it. And they were all quite annoying, I thought.
But, we've got to wait till WrestleMania for her to get her comeuppance. So essentially Vince cut this promo being like, hey, look, Steve, times have changed. I'm not... That was 20 years ago. I'm a senior citizen now. I've got arthritis. My bones are brittle.
What?
The crowd were like... He was saying all this stuff. And then perfectly, just like... Shane, on the other hand, is in the prime of his life. Look at Shane, and Shane's reaction, not the greatest actor in the world, but Shane's reaction of just like, what? It was so great. I loved all of this segment. And actually just seeing Vince and Shane and Austin in the ring look like 1998 all over again. I loved all this.
Just with a few more wrinkles.
Yeah.
I mean,
more grey hair.
I even liked the what chants.
Yeah.
That's how happy I was for this segment. And of course... Stone Cold gives Shane a stunner. Shane doesn't sell it very well. Gets some beer skis in, and he's sharing them with Vince.
Nice little touch as well, because Vince is holding the beer, and Austin knocks it so that it spills up onto his nice jacket. And Vince's reaction to it was really great.
And Vince goes to leave. There was a bit of a weird bit, did the music stop before?
Well, I think what it was is that, so Vince was going to leave, and then as soon as the music stops, Vince in character was like, oh, so this is where I get the stunner then. and turned round a bit. And it was like they've stopped the music for a reason. Turned round, stunner to Vince McMahon. Actually, that was the other thing as well, is when he hit the stunner on Shane, the crowd started chanting one more time. Yeah. And Vince, in a wonderful ad-lib line, just went, I don't think Shane can take another stunner. And then he stuns Vince McMahon, gets some more beers, shares one with Shane, so they can do the beer spit stunner as well that everyone loves. I thought this was a wonderful opening segment.
It was so good. It was just great fan service. And even though it was throwaway nostalgia, it didn't build any new things, some of these, you should have these moments on the Raw 25th anniversary, and none were better. I couldn't have come up with something better myself.
This, I mean, that's
simple
the thing.
And perfect.
Well, that's it. This is perfect. This is stuff bad. This was a nostalgia show. This is everything that I expected from the show. Was bringing back old stars to do mad cameos. It was bringing people out to do in-ring segments that we've sort of already, we've seen before, but we have very nostalgic feelings for. This is exactly what I expected of the show. This is why they should have done this show 2 weeks ago. They shouldn't have done this the week before the Royal Rumble, because what really suffered in this show was, because it was a nostalgia show where not a lot was kind of forwarded, the Royal Rumble played second fiddle.
I don't know about that. I think there was a way to do it all in one big massive thing, because you think Raw 25, it's going to do huge ratings. I imagine, Raw after Mania levels. It had so much promotion going into it, very wisely on the go home show. So you would have a segment like this, and then you should have like an equally compelling go home angle into your biggest pay-per-view, one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year. That's the whole point.
Did next.
Sorry?
They sort of did next.
But it wasn't brilliant. Like, this is something you do 3 weeks out from the pay-per-view.
Oh, I thought this was the right time to do it.
So, you could either have your go home and sales pitch drive for the WWE Network or pay-per-view as a normal go home show, or you could have it when the most eyes are on the product to kick off the road to WrestleMania. I think it's the right idea to put the 25th anniversary show on the go home show. But just make it better. Just do it better.
Well, absolutely, yeah. Just do it better. It's our WWE mantra. I would be very interested to see the quarter-hour ratings for this show, because I wonder, you're right that they've done a lot of promotion for this, including, it's the return of Steve Austin and all this sort of gubbins. I wonder if we're going to find those lapsed fans, those mysterious, 6 or 9 million fans that we used to have 20 years ago, wherever they've gone, whether some of those were going to tune into this show to kind of relive the nostalgia and see Vince and Austin go at it one more time, who will then turn off after that's done and be like, well, I've got what I came to see. I'm going to go watch the NBA or something now. I don't know if the NBA is on at the moment.
I felt there was nothing in it to hook return those lapsed fans into the current continuity.
Especially, as you said as well, The Undertaker was in the first hour. So it's not even like you dragged out The Undertaker's return. The Undertaker came back and then that was all done in the first hour.
And he didn't do anything. Next up, we had the women's division. All in one little segment here, apart from the champions later. Asuka, Mickie James, Sasha Banks and Bayley beat Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, Nia Jax and Alicia Fox.
Asuka looked awesome in this match.
Asuka looked good, but I thought it was a bit of a throwaway, just chuck everyone in there. Which is the sign of the whole show, really. Just chuck everyone in there. Meltzer had a really good line in his review. He said it was overbooked on guests and underbooked on wrestling.
Yeah, I could agree with that, yeah.
So the commentators started putting over Nia Jax, like giving her the Big Show treatment. How are you gonna eliminate Nia Jax?
Yeah.
Look at the size of her.
Well, this is the thing. When Michael Cole said that, I did kind of give it one of those oh God, Michael Cole, you've been doing this for a long time. Yeah. I know you're doing it in it's a WWE thing, but it doesn't lend you any credibility. And then Corey Graves was like, just being big doesn't always help you. Look at the Big Show. Big Show's... And then Michael Cole was like, yeah, you're right. Big Show's never won a Royal Rumble, and you'd think that someone like him would. And I was like, oh, God, Michael Cole, fight. Where have you been? That's actually a little bit of credible commentary from you. But this match, and I've been thinking about it for a week or so now. Asuka's not winning the Rumble. And I don't think Nia Jax is either. And the reason for that is because those are the picks that the commentators have given. Yeah. And Nia Jax stood tall here, and Corey Graves has been harping on that Asuka's going to win. And I thought of it a couple of weeks ago. I was like, that means Asuka's not winning then.
Or maybe, they're actually giving someone a proper push for once.
Or maybe.
Where all the different components get behind one person.
Well, maybe, but I got the feeling at the end of this...
that Ronda Rousey's winning.
Maybe Ronda Rousey's winning. I don't think Asuka's winning.
Or Alicia Fox, because she took the pin here. Or she tapped, so,
that's right, she did.
You've got to build her up.
I mean, that Northern Light suplex.
Thing of beauty.
Yeah.
But like you said, the other thing was Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose. I think this Absolution thing's over now. They were meant to be this rogue faction, and now they're teaming with other heels that they had previously gone against. I didn't like that, but they've been put in a bad situation with Paige. But the post-match angle was pretty cool, where Asuka just threw over her own teammates over the top rope.
Yeah, I loved this as well. I mean, it made... Bayley and Sasha Banks look like complete doofuses, because Asuka pushed Mickie James out of the ring, and then they stood like, what do you do that for? It's like a Royal Rumble, and then threw Bayley out, and then threw Sasha Banks out, or it might be the other way around. But I thought this was a really great set, and I thought Asuka looked absolutely awesome in the match, and I think she looked awesome in the post-show.
Yeah, so far,
and she was the most over person in the whole match.
So far in the show, really good opening segment. Mere match, but it's a packed show. We can forgive them for that. Good post angle. Okay, we're cooking. And then we have backstage nostalgia skit number 1. Kurt Angle's back there. Jonathan Coachman comes out. Comes into the room. Brother Love, Teddy Long, the Brooklyn Brawler, and Boogeyman to sort of haunt Coachman. This was fun throwaway stuff also.
Fun throwaway stuff. I'm going to put my bold prediction out there. I told you earlier and I put out onto social media. I think that WWE are going to do a deal with Bruce Pritchard and Something to Wrestle, and they're going to do exclusive podcasts on the network.
And that's when your fan base are going to desert you, Bruce. We're coming for you, Pritchard. Next up, we had the aforementioned Undertaker promo. This was the first bit of the show where I was like, huh.
This is the first thing the Manhattan Center got as well.
Yeah, so it was like the first crack, I felt. I was like, oh, that was... The momentum's off now. Like, okay. But then it went back to the Barclays Center, and we got an APA protection poker game skit backstage playing against Heath Slater and Rhino.
Yeah.
That was fine.
It was JBL getting to do JBL stuff.
So I liked that, although I would have, chosen someone other than Slater and Rhino.
Well, no, I think it works great for Slater and Rhino because he's got kids, man. He needs that money, so it was perfect to put him into this poker position, especially with the payoff you got at the end. I'm not saying the payoff was particularly great, but I think that Slater and Rhino were the perfect people to put in here. And then you got the $1 million man walk in because he's got all the money, you see.
Yeah, that was a nice, when like some cameos, you're like, that's clever.
Yeah.
Like your Honky Tonk Man number 3 entry in the Rumble.
Thank you very much.
I was like, that's a good one. And the same with DiBiase here. I'm just saying, in a show that's already very packed, and it's the Go Home Royal Rumble show, do you have Rhino and Heath Slater who aren't going to do anything, or do you use this APA skit, which is going to run throughout the entire night and then end in a match? Do you have that to build up a larger feud or some stars? I would have loved to have seen the Bar in there, way more than I would. Not to slag on Rhino and Heath Slater, but they're so far down the card, you've got to, I think, pick these spots wisely.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. But like the point of this show wasn't, apart from the Elias Cena thing, wasn't really to kind of further storylines or build new stars or anything like that. It was a nostalgia show. It was, you wanted these guys back for this one show, and here they are in all of their wackiness.
Yeah, problem is I disagree with that.
I'm not saying...
I think that was the wrong move.
I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying that's their rationale.
Next up, we have more nostalgia. So this is when I was like, it is just a nostalgia show, and I'm getting it's a bit sickly sweet. Although this did have an element of greatness in. It was Raw authority figures from the past. John Laurinaitis in a red suit. I'm a huge John Laurinaitis fan. Honestly, not even so. I thought he was great. I love his voice. He's
People
CM
power.
Punk, he's CM Punk feud. I thought that could have been something special. Excuse my throat there. William Regal comes out. Eric Bischoff.
Willie Regal. Mm-hmm. Love William Regal.
And then finally Daniel Bryan. And you're like, oh, this is good. And Bryan was doing the yes. And then Miz came out. And they had a real tense stare down. And man, that was a bit like, Bryan, eh? In-ring return, eh? Royal Rumble betting odds, eh?
Yeah, well, there is all that, I suppose. But, yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, I don't really want to join in on the speculation of whether Daniel Bryan is going to be a part of the Rumble or if Daniel Bryan's going to have an in-ring return.
I thought that it was a nice character moment from their very, very good SmackDown feud, which is really responsible for putting Miz where he is now, I think, because he was... he was off the boil for a few years, and it was that SmackDown Live brand split run that really put him back at the top.
Well, and not just that, but it was Talking Smack in particular.
Yes.
That's what really cemented The Miz back in that very much that upper mid-card role that he's very suited to.
So that was a very good moment. But this built into the most promoted match of the night, which and leading up to this night, which was The Miz versus Roman Reigns for the Intercontinental Championship. So this is the start of hour 2. Mm-hmm. We're only a third of the way into the show, and we've already had Undertaker, and now we're having the big title match. And I was just like, wow, what's so... You're blowing through the stuff quite quickly. And Stone Cold was at the top. And I was thinking, who else is left? You've got the Royal Rumble like the 3-way go-home angle with Brock Lesnar, which I'm not particularly interested in, and DX. And then I thought... Triple H thinks DX is bigger than it is.
They're the architects of the Attitude Era, Ollie. They're the ones. They started the war and they finished it. It's amazing because the WWE Network exists. People can go back and see that DX really didn't have that as much of an impact as they kind of claim that they do. When it was Shawn and Triple H, they were a very good act. Shawn was in that World Championship role, and they were a very solid act. But like, the other faction of DX, when you had the Road, when you had New Age Outlaws and you had X-Pac in there, when you actually clock back, they didn't have a massive lengthy run. Like, they treat them like they're the Four Horsemen of WWE, where they were together for 20 years, when actually they were together for probably less than a year. And I don't think they had the impact that they think they did.
It's revised history.
It's
No
revised
one's
history.
going to go back and watch. Well, very few people are going to go back and check WWE's version of events. So The Miz and Roman Reigns, I think they've got very good chemistry in the ring together.
Good
They
match.
always have a good match. They're quite inventive with their spots. Although it's always the same Reigns match. It's always the same Miz match. But they find enough ways to riff on that where I'm never bored, and I always like them together. And it was some Miztourage shenanigans and an exposed second turnbuckle, which I didn't see until the replay. So I was like,
Neither did Corey Graves.
yeah. So that was good.
The referee, man alive, like when he threw out Heath Slater, when he threw out the Miztourage from the outside, that's how many geeks there are on Raw. When he threw out the Miztourage, go back and watch it. He like dances across the ring to throw them out with like this really big like hand gesture to be like, "You're out of here."
Nice.
It was wonderful refereeing.
He's going to get future endeavoured soon. He can't get over referee. There's only so many pops an audience has.
Yeah, but this was absolutely right. I thought this was a fun match. They always do have really good matches, and yeah, it was an exposed turnbuckle into a skull-crushing finale. And Miz is your new Intercontinental Champion. What was the point of putting the belt on Roman? Apart
Miz
from
had a film.
Miz had a film to make, but
Well, and he's a Grand Slam champion when he wins the Universal title.
could have done that later. Like I get that they wanted to do it as quickly as possible, but I'd have rather they just kept the belt on Roman. I really wish that they'd have kept the belt on Roman until WrestleMania.
Was that one of your 2018 predictions?
I
That
can't.
it would be Intercontinental Champ versus Universal Champ?
No, it wasn't. That was one of my predictions. It wasn't one of my bold predictions. Though.
Right. So yeah, 8-time world champion,
He
Intercontinental
wishes.
Champion Miz, and I just I think this is great for everyone. Like, Roman Reigns wasn't doing anything with the belt; it felt weird on him. Miz is just, I associate the Intercontinental title belt with Miz now, much like, not to the extent of Shawn Michaels, Honky Tonk Man, and all those people, but like the modern day version. I think he really is synonymous with it, and it just makes the mid card scene more intriguing because only a certain caliber in WWE's eyes of wrestlers can feud with Roman, whereas Miz opens it up to a lot more and Roman can go up to the main event. Shuffles things around quite nicely.
Do you think then that this kind of opens it up for Roman to win the Rumble?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn it. So after this, we had the continuation of the APA poker game, now joined by Jeff Hardy.
Jeff Hardy randomly there. Just there's Jeff.
I don't think he was even playing. He was just, I'm Jeff Hardy.
I'm Jeff Hardy here.
Yeah.
What about my dog? Like, he was just there.
Like, Christian and the Dudley Boys were there. Like,
Well, you had to save Christian for that killer segment you had later on, mate.
and also in a blink and you'll miss him. I didn't spot him for a while. MVP.
I didn't see it was MVP either. I wrote down Jeff Hardy and I couldn't make out who it was. And it was only until it's only when he did the basketball thing, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, it's MVP.
So speaking of that Christian segment, we had Peep Show up next, Christian's Peep Show. And Christian got a little time on the mic at the start. He was like, what up? Is it what up, peeps? What did he say?
Yeah, he's talking about people. He's like, there's some
Yeah.
peeps around here. They mentioned on commentary that Edge couldn't be here. He got a really nice video package later on
Yeah.
as well. I think this segment would have been better if you had Edge there as well, because
completely.
you'd have done things like the 5-second pose and all of that sort of gubbins as well. So I think that's a bit of a shame. But Christian was there and he brought out. I mean, honestly, he brought out Seth Rollins and the star of the show, Jason Jordan.
Yes, most over current guy on the show.
Jason Jordan was fantastic in this segment, just working the crowd like an absolute pro. He was just wonderful.
Hats off to the crowd as well. Takes two to tango.
Yep.
They gave him, not at the level of, but Raw After Mania Roman levels of heat, where they wouldn't let him speak.
Yeah.
But because Jordan would hold back enough, but then like, no, everyone cheer my dad. Oh, it was
We should all stand up and
Yeah.
cheer him. Oh, this was really, really great stuff.
And then the bar came out, the bar, who got big cheers Which is, it's such a weird dynamic that I'm personally very into, but I get why people wouldn't, and it doesn't work on paper. I think it's working in practice, though. You've got this heel team who are like out-and-out heels, and then you've got a babyface in Rollins and a heel in Jordan who's playing a babyface. What a crazy thing to do, but I'm really enjoying it. And the Bar have a little brawl after insulting Jordan, and Rollins knees Jordan in the face.
Certainly does. And Booker T blamed Jason Jordan.
Yeah.
It was
really hates him.
It was incredible because Seth Rollins jumps off and knees him in the face, and then Booker T's just like, it's all Jordan's fault. And Cole and Corey goes like, how was that Jordan's fault? I mean, to Booker T's credit, he was saying that, Jordan started the fight.
Yeah.
And he shouldn't have started the fight.
So close, Booker, sometimes. Like with the MMA thing.
Well, there was someone, I can't remember who it was now, it might have been Matthew of Botchamania, posted up on Twitter that Corey Graves and Michael Cole now, their whole shtick is just to jump on Booker T whenever he says something. So actually, sometimes Booker T says quite relevant things, but you've just got Michael Cole and Corey Graves just eking and just waiting to pounce and be like, no you idiot, you said something stupid, you didn't say that last week, oh you're an idiot, you're a stupid head, aren't you, such a stupid head.
Stupid head.
Booker head.
Let's
What
get
a
it
Booker
on a
head.
t-shirt. Next up, we had a backstage segment of Alexa Bliss doing an interview, but then she's so tall. I was trying to think of a good tall joke.
Charlotte interrupts and towered over Bliss. It was like Andre the Giant was standing next to her.
Like, why put Charlotte in heels? Why didn't you just say? Because I assume she's in heels.
Well,
there's no way she would have been that tall. She was. Alexa Bliss looked like a child.
Yeah, well, Alexa Bliss is 5 foot tall. She is 5 feet of fury, so she is quite small. You can bear in mind, my wife's 5 foot tall.
Yeah.
So
and Charlotte's 5'10".
About the same. Yeah, it was about the same height as me.
Yeah.
And probably in that dynamic, I
don't wear heels.
No, I do not wear heels. But I do tower over my wife. It's so funny. There was a moment when we were first started dating, when we were having it was our very first Christmas together, and we had this photo taken of the two of us, and I had my arms around her, she had her arms around me. Took the photo, and my wife, my then girlfriend, looked at the photo and was like, God, I'm so much smaller than you. I was like, have you only just noticed now? We've known each other for like 6 years at this point. Have you only just noticed now?
Well, it was that sort of realisation here, wasn't it? Because Alexa Bliss and Charlotte have always been on different brands on the main roster so far. And here they were.
Yes, they have, yeah.
Yeah, and both champions. Charlotte is infinitely taller.
Didn't they have the Survivor Series match?
Probably.
Yes, they did. It was Charlotte versus Alexa Bliss at Survivor Series.
Oh, yeah, because they changed I can't even
Was
remember.
it?
No, it was Natalia. Was it?
No, I thought Charlotte won the belt before Survivor Series.
Let's not get drudged down in this, because Ric Flair came out and they just had a woo-off. So this was just for Ric Flair looking great after a bad back end of last year.
With awful mic issues.
Next up, APA. They're still playing poker. Natalia now is winning. She's turned up, along with the Usos are back there, and so the New Day. And Dana Brooke is there with Titus Worldwide, being so good with numbers. She's like, Heath, you've lost a lot of money.
Yeah.
So Heath's like, oh man.
I've got kids.
Then we cut to the Manhattan Center. It's Bray Wyatt and Broken Matt Hardy.
Woken Matt Hardy. I've written here, Bray comes out to cut a promo. Because Bray Wyatt made his entrance, and I was like, okay, so here's Bray coming out to cut a promo. Maybe they're going to do a Woken Hardy stare off, and then they'll get into a brawl and what have you. And then no, Woken Matt Hardy just came out, and they had a match.
No silliness, no weird Woken skits. It was just
had a match.
2 minutes of match, 5 minutes of advert.
Can I give you a theory?
Tell me.
Well, okay, so I was thinking about this. I forgot this happened on the show until I was kind of replaying it in my head while I was on the tube over here, and I was like, oh god, yeah, there was that Matt Hardy Bray Wyatt match. That was very weird, because the match was nothing. The match was a couple of moves, and then Bray Wyatt won, and it was it was a very decisive victory. Bray Wyatt just won. My theory is, and I'm not saying that this is correct, I'm not saying that this is absolute definitive
speculation.
Proof. This is very much speculation. They're done with Woken Matt Hardy. And my rationale for this is that this feud has had build. We've had weeks and weeks of them kind of cutting Skype call promos and things like that, and we've had some in-ring stuff. But this match didn't have any build. We never said, like, hey, we're going to have a match at Raw 25. They've never been...
Didn't they?
No, they've never said that they were going to have... as far as I can remember, this match was... this was an unannounced match. The only time they've announced it was when they were going to do it over the 205 Live tour, which effectively is what they got at the Manhattan Center, apparently, because they had quite a few Cruiserweight matches in between stuff. So, this match was unannounced. Or at least it felt unannounced. And it was over in, very quickly with a very decisive finish. But it was something in the match that made me think about it even more, which is that at every single opportunity he could, Matt was doing the delete chant. And at the time, I remember thinking, like, God, Matt's doing that an awful lot. Like, that's
he's only got 2 minutes.
I was like, he's doing that an awful lot, and he's doing it at every chance he can get. And you should let that thing sort of grow organically, let the crowd do it themselves, rather than you having to guide them into doing it. But after the match, I was like, oh, I think he was doing it at every opportunity. So he could go backstage and be like, did you see what happened every time I did it? The crowd really got into it. To try and show almost... It felt like he was trying to prove to the back that Delete is over and that his gimmick is over. I am putting 2 and 2 together and getting 5, but I think there is a lot in there that could be unboxed.
Certainly could be the case. To me, it just looked like this is an overstuffed show. We also don't have time for you at the Royal Rumble, because that's a pretty stacked show as well.
But you could start the feud at the Royal Rumble.
The feud started back in
November, but you build to the match. Like, you could have started that, like, with the two of them having the stare-off. Like, that's what it felt like this has been building to. Was their first, something with them at the Royal Rumble.
I think this was to satisfy... It obviously didn't work, but to satisfy the Manhattan Center crowd, who were supposedly very angry with how little they got. The Woken, Matt Hardy, Bray Wyatt blow-off, you think, oh, that's a smart thing. It's going to be to the more passionate fans... in the Manhattan Center, let's give it to them there.
Didn't work, though,
didn't work.
Because, this match was very unover.
Yeah. When Bray Wyatt came out, it was dark for so long and I couldn't see anything, and I thought, they didn't turn the lights off for Taker. I know that's how he used to come out. So I kind of got in my head, when the lights come back up, are the Wyatt family going to be there? I'm still clinging to it.
You are clinging to it, man.
And then I thought, if that happens... When Woken Matt Hardy comes out, when the lights come back on, it can be Jeff Hardy and Senor Benjamin. And no, that's not going to happen. We just saw Jeff Hardy.
No, but this was over. J.R. and King didn't really know what was going on, didn't really know the storyline going into it. But King had a great line in there where he said, Matt Hardy's so crazy, he went to the dentist to get Bluetooth.
Nice.
So
to wash that away... We got women next.
Yeah.
All of the women from the past.
Standing in a row.
So please welcome some of the greatest women's wrestlers in Raw history, said JoJo. We got Nikki and Brie Bella, Maurice, Kelly, Lillian Garcia, Jacqueline, Tori Wilson.
I've written here, Tori somehow looks younger.
She looks like a different person.
Yeah, it was incredible.
This is Ultimate Warrior level of comeback.
It was absolutely incredible. Like, she just looked so young.
She's just she's working out. Fitness model.
Worked so hard for that, man.
Like, well done for fitness.
Congratulations to Tori Wilson.
Really
I thought she looked like she could be on the main roster now.
Yeah. She looked like she's great.
I mean, she didn't want to be a wrestler anyway. Like, when she was in WCW, the reason why she liked being in WCW was that she didn't have to be a wrestler. And then they came over to WWF and they were like, "Oh, by the way, you have to wrestle now," like her and Stacey. And they were like, "Oh, we don't really want to do that," but she had to learn.
But great stuff.
Yeah,
great stuff from Tori Wilson, Michelle McCool, Terry Runnels, Maria Kanellis.
Oh, I missed that entrance theme music so much. I popped massively for it.
When she came out, I was like, wait. She's actually on the roster. She's actually, technically, I know she's pregnant, but, she's a legend from the past, sure, but they have access to her now to do stuff on the main roster.
Oh, what a great entrance theme.
And Trish Stratus was the sort of, it felt like a Hall of Fame class, didn't it?
Yeah.
Same with the Raw Authority figures earlier.
And Trish very much learning from the last time she had a run in WWE when fans, this is what a lot of people say anyway, that she didn't get over in her last run because she was brunette. And fans don't remember her being a brunette. They remember her being blonde. This time she came back blonde, much bigger reaction.
Yeah, I didn't know who she was before.
No?
Yeah, I need that blonde hair. But of course there are a few names. Sable,
Yep.
She would have been there because her husband was there, Brock Lesnar.
Yes.
A few others.
She's still... I know the sexual harassment stuff was squashed, I guess.
So next
We'll
up,
sort it
we
out.
had Elias walking backstage wearing a scarf, carrying a guitar. Sounds like gimmick infringement to me. He walked straight into Chris Jericho, who... Jericho was just great wearing his Alpha Club t-shirt.
He might have got the biggest pop of the night.
Yeah, it was definitely up there. And Y2J goes to put him on the list. I guess I'm just kidding with you. I'm not going to put him on the list. And then he puts him on the list. That delivery of putting someone on the list
Was good.
That's got to be one of the most over things of the last 5 years.
It was great. It was
Yeah.
really, really great. Wonderful little showing from Jericho.
Because that felt like the list moment felt like an all-time, like a reference to an all-time classic Raw thing.
Yeah.
And it was only last
year.
year, really, which
Yeah.
is amazing. So Elias walked outside to do a song.
Before we get to this,
Mm-hmm.
I've written a note here because they showed a video of Triple H and a Connor's Cure kid and Stephanie turning on the Empire State Building lights.
Yes.
And they showed this big sort of, cityscape of New York with the Empire State Building standing tall and all the other buildings standing tall. And I've just written here, New York is the coolest place on earth. I love New York. I want to go back there so bad. I want to live in New York. It's the coolest place. I just think it's the coolest place ever.
Well, I want to walk with Elias. Who's got that over. I think we can safely sign off on that catchphrase.
Crowd was super into that.
Delete? Nah. Walk with Elias? Everybody. So Elias did a little song, trashed the legends. Jimmy Fallon was sitting in the front row, so he trashed him as well, including The Rock.
Yeah.
There was a line against The Rock, and I thought, does that mean The Rock might come out next? Or there'll be a little pre-recorded message? No Rock. I thought that was a bit of a glaring absence.
I was waiting for the Honky Tonk Man.
Yeah. Yep, that could have happened as well. But instead of all those much better things, we got John Cena.
Who was very unhappy that he didn't get a big reaction.
Yeah, the crowd they were the sort of smarter crowd who wanted to chant asshole again at John Cena.
He just kept saying, like, where are you? Like, he was making loads of gestures of, like, where's all the noise? Where's the noise for me? Even, like, bad noise against me. Like, there was nothing. It was really loud at the start, but then by the time he got to the ring, it very much tapered off. And then he got a promo. And then as soon as, like, he grabbed a mic and the crowd made a noise again, it was like, oh, there you are. Like, oh, there's the noise I've been waiting for.
I think he was trying, because John Cena's very good at turning the crowd on his side throughout the course of a promo. I think he was just trying to get the crowd into more of a frenzy, because they were starting to taper off now. After a very good start, it was, nothing's happening really.
Yeah, pretty much. And then he, what did we get a return of here? John Cena wasn't the biggest return here, really, was it?
Zombie Beach Ball came back.
Bloody Beach Balls. I'm so glad they squashed it quickly. God, well done, security.
Well, it was a good through line. Elias said that Brooklyn doesn't have balls, and Cena was like, there they are, right there, the Zombie Beach Ball.
Yeah.
Great pop. Cesaro Beach Ball feud was up there for the best of 2017. But then Cena sort of had a showdown with Elias, but Elias low-blowed him and bashed a guitar over his back.
Yeah, so, I mean, I've written here, no Taker feud then, but I guess you can do it after this feud with Elias is done.
Well, that was always the plan, because Samoa Joe was going to feud with John Cena through to about March, and then Cena was going to transition into the Undertaker feud for the month before Mania. That was the reported plan, at least. But now Samoa Joe's unfortunately injured. He's going to miss the Rumble, so it just looks like they've slotted Elias into that space, which is great for Elias.
I was going to say, there are quite a few mid-carders that could have got over in feuds with John Cena, but actually feuding with Cena was more damaging to them.
Sure, yeah.
Bray Wyatt and Rusev being the first two that spring to mind.
Baron Corbin.
Baron Corbin's another one, yeah.
But maybe Elias will come out okay.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
I don't see it happening. Once the feud is over, Elias will be right back to doing what he was doing previously.
Yeah, I agree. It's just a shame, like, John Cena and Samoa Joe, that could have been a real hot program. Then we go backstage. The APA are still playing poker, and Titus Worldwide now accuses Heath Slater of cheating.
The New Day are there as well.
The New Day are there too, setting up a match, which is going to happen now after Ted DiBiase wins. And Farouk awkwardly says, damn.
Yep.
Like, I don't think it was a damn warranted situation.
Well, of course it was. Ted DiBiase won. He had all the money to begin with. Oh, that man with money.
But I always think of Farouk Dams as, this is weird. Why is everyone doing this? What a stupid situation.
Damn.
Oh, you do a really good damn.
Oh, damn.
There we go.
Sorry. I didn't know you wanted an actual Ron
Yeah,
Simmons
I wanted
damn.
an actual damn.
Oh, I'm not saying it was damn worthy.
Okay.
But that was, I guess, the reason they gave for a damn.
So before we got the match that set up of Titus Worldwide versus Heath Slater and Rhino, there was actually quite a poignant moment backstage.
This made me laugh.
Yeah,
I
so
really enjoyed this.
Mark Henry's walking along in the corridor,
Smiling as he is, because
Yeah.
he's happy smiley, Mark Henry, Hall of Pain.
and he bumps in to the Godfather. And they have a moment, like, we used to be a team together, this is all good.
Well, no, he was talking about, like, before he was Mark Henry.
Right, yeah.
He was sexual chocolates. And Mark's like, oh, come on, man. It was a long time ago. Different person now.
Thinking that the Godfather's trying to set him up with this hoe.
Yeah, but as you've written here, as a hoe. But that was not a hoe.
It was a wife.
And it was so great as well, because Mark was like, oh, hey. It's like, oh, no, this is my wife.
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was really funny.
And then Godfather just, strutted
Strut
off.
off. Oh, this is great.
I just thought, like, as a character arc for the Godfather,
Yeah.
who was just a nymphomaniac, he really exploited women for a long time.
No, he wasn't an nymphomaniac. He sold women.
Sure.
He never slept with the hoes. He just sold them to people.
Well, he exploited women for so long, and now he's found one that he can settle down with.
Oh, and have his...
That corrects everything that he did in the past. But lovely, it's beautiful
What a
storytelling.
lovely man he was. What an over baby face this man who sold women was.
Yes. Next up was the Titus Worldwide versus Rhino and Heath Slater match. It was nothing. It quickly became a brawl, and the referee called it off. Mm-hmm. So the Dudley Boys came out, and Titus Worldwide and his own partner Rhino sacrificed Heath Slater, rolled him into the ring, so the Dudleys could put him through a table.
Crowd just wanted to see a 3D. Dudley's did the was up spot instead, and I think that kind of like killed.
Build to the table.
Well, I know, but people didn't want the table. They wanted the 3D because Slater was getting into the ring, and the crowd were going like 3D, but they didn't get that. So I think that kind of like killed the momentum a little bit. Then they did the 3D through the table, and that kind of picked them back up again.
Yes,
it was what it was.
It's just this was fine. You're right. It was what it was, but combined with the DX angle that happened later, I just thought they're a bit too similar, and one of them sacrificed a very promising team.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially considering all the great stuff that Bully Ray's been doing in Ring of Honor.
But hey, Luke, speaking of great teams, I mean, the Dudley Boys are one of the greatest teams of all time. Speaking of great, here's AJ Styles.
Oh my God.
Get in there, Charlie. What a script.
I laughed so much at this. I watched it a couple of times. It was so funny.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was just perfectly rubbish delivery coupled with perfectly rubbish writing. Oh, I wrote it down verbatim.
Yeah.
I loved it that much.
She is dead inside when she delivers the line. It's like you can watch the exact moment the heart breaks.
Speaking of great.
Yeah.
Oh, it was great. It was like a WrestleTalk news episode.
I thought nothing could dislodge the affection in my heart for Kurt Angle's line about the trucks last week.
Yeah.
Speaking of great.
Is she? I mean, any given week, I would say she's so much better than Dasher on SmackDown. But this here, coupled with Dasher last week, I don't know, man. I'm kind of going back and forth now.
I imagine they'd be pretty good if they were allowed to be themselves more.
Charlie for sure can be.
Yeah. So I've actually written down Dasher in my notes. I was like, was it Dasher? And then I had to go back and watch it, and I was like, is it? And I got up pictures of them. It's Charlie. I'm pretty sure it's Charlie, despite having Google images of everyone and the picture. Is it Charlie?
I always
I'll
know.
read some recap notes.
It's
as well.
funny because I always know it's Charlie, but I never know it's Dasher.
Weird.
It's weird because like anytime Charlie comes on screen, I'm like Charlie Caruso, and I know that's Charlie. But when Dasher comes on screen, I instantly write Charlie, and they go, no, wait. No, that's Dasher.
I'm like that with Mike Rome. I think he's Charlie as well.
Yeah.
They're all Charlie. Generic Charlies.
What about Todd Phillips?
Tom. Oh, Todd, yes. So that was Dasher's. So that was Charlie's smooth transition into.
Speaking of transitions,
introducing AJ, and AJ, I thought rightfully said, "Sod off," because Mean Gene Okerlund is right there.
Oh, it's like, get out of here! You're awful at this. Let's bring. But then poor old Mean Gene had to do scripted lines, and it came off really stilted. It's not their fault.
I've read a few reviews where people are like, Mean Gene Okerlund came back and he, immediately showed the current backstage interviewers what it should be. And I thought, I like seeing Mean Gene Okerlund. I love his voice. But he just asked one scripted question. And the great thing about Mean Gene was that he would sort of have a proper conversation, right?
Yeah.
That didn't happen.
No.
He just said his question and then stood there and listened to everything AJ had to say, which was trying to make Cammy happen, which isn't good.
So, on that, you saw a lot of reviews that said that Mean Gene kind of showed everyone up. Do you know what I feel that is? I feel people wrote that note down before it happened.
Sure, yeah.
Because I would have written that note down, because as soon as Mean Gene came in, I was like, Mean Gene's going to show everyone up here. He's going to show how great he is. Write that note down, and then you forget to delete it, and then you post it.
So next up, we had another return in a night of returns. At the Manhattan Center, first Shawn Michaels and Triple H came out and they did the full DX with glow sticks and they're thanking fans after Shawn Michaels started to do a little joke thing about, 25 years, man, God, all these memories, like the one with the sausages and Triple H and whoa. And he kept on doing stuff like that. And Shawn Michaels had quite the funny line of, I used to be the boss, but now you're the boss of everything to Triple H.
So funny. I really enjoyed that.
But the crowd seemed to be a bit restless, and Triple H went into overly thanking mode, which was, I didn't think played that well. He thanked Rick Rude. He thanked China.
I think by this point, this is where the Manhattan Center realised that this is the last thing we're going to get, and we have probably been screwed out of this.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure I heard this when Triple H said China. Did Jerry Lawler go, "Wow"?
I don't recall that, no.
Oh, I can't confirm that, but I thought I heard that.
But it was nice to get a mention of China, which
sure.
I think, aside from when she died, is the first time they've mentioned her on commentary in a long time. Because I don't think they mentioned her at Raw 1000. It's been a long time since China's name's been said on WWE TV, and obviously the Austin podcast.
Hunter's going to get back home and Stephanie's going to be like, "What do you say?"
You say back home. They work together.
Yeah, that's a good point. The New Age Outlaws came out next, doing their always lovely intro spiel with Road Dogg, and then X-Pac came out, who got a real nice reaction. His was the most genuine of the five, I felt.
Yeah.
And he got in because he was, that Razor Ramon match on Raw when he was 1, 2, 3 kid is such a huge part of Raw history, and everyone was chanting 1, 2, 3 rather than X-Pac. I really liked that.
Yeah, I enjoyed that as well.
And then they were like, well, it can't be a Raw reunion without Scott Hall or Razor Ramon or the bad guy, whatever they said. And out came Razor Ramon.
He certainly did.
Cut to commercial.
Yep, they've got to get a commercial in there somewhere, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, he came out, and it was nice to see Razor. He looked great.
Yeah,
he just looks so good. Just so happy to see Scott Hall back in this shape.
And he said Raw 25 is
too sweet.
Which brought out the Balor Club, and then the Balor Club came in, and they all did the Too Sweet together. And then I was just around about this point, I was just like, this is the longest single segment on the show so far, or at least it feels like. And it's also the one that involves Triple H and this whole. And it was like what we said earlier about DX. I don't feel like they warrant this much attention in the 25th anniversary celebrations. Sure, definitely give them a segment. But don't make them go at the end of the show was pretty much the main event, and have a match attached to it and all this posing. Yeah, I thought it was very indulgent.
A Triple H segment that's indulgent, Ollie. But pray tell.
So one Balor Club came out. This brought out the Revival afterwards. They were scheduled to do.
Well, they first did they all did a Too Sweet together, and then Billy Gunn was going to do there. And if you're not down with that, I feel like this. It was lovely to see Scott Hall there, and it's a real shame that we couldn't have Kevin Nash there either, because it would have been much. I felt like it would have been really awesome if you'd have had DX, the NWO, and the Balor Club kind of all doing this Too Sweet gimmick. But yeah, I mean, you only had Scott Hall there because Kevin Nash couldn't make it for travel reasons. He's too tall to get on planes. I think that was his reason for not being there. But yeah, and then the Revival came out to get killed. Well, I mean, they said that they've got a match here with Gallows and Anderson, but really it was so they could get killed.
Yeah, so it was a very short match. Anderson won with a magic killer pretty quickly. And then they were all celebrating the baby faces.
Hilarious part from Jerry and Jim, where they didn't know what Gallows and Anderson's finisher was. So they hit it, and then Jerry was like, "Is this it?"
I didn't.
And then they counted the pin, and Jerry was like, "Oh, that was it. That was the finish."
So the baby faces are celebrating, and the Revival are like, "Hey, buddies, we're not done with you." Completely misreading the numbers game here. And everyone hit finishes on the Revival, sort of paying off what happened the previous week when the Revival said, we hate DX, all these guys ruin the business, we're solid 80s wrestlers.
Wonderful sell job by the Revival. Okay, so...
The rub.
Okay.
Are we going to talk about the rub?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is not a rub, but... Do you think this segment killed the Revival?
No, it didn't kill them, but it did not do them any favours and has knocked them very far down in sort of my mental rankings.
I disagree, because this will be forgotten about by next week. It's a segment on a nostalgia show, and you need to have a tag team in this position. And the Revival are a heel tag team, so you need to have a tag team like that into this position. You set it up last week. This was the payoff. Come next week, we act like nothing ever happened, and we just sort of move on with our lives.
Miz Taraj would have been good.
Yeah, but they were involved with The Miz. So you're right. Someone like Miz Taraj would have been much better. But I don't think this hurts the Revival. No one will remember this come next week.
I don't have as much confidence. I think it will, subconsciously make people devalue the Revival. I think it's great for Balor Club. And that's the team you're pushing, really. So, well done for that. But...
to counter-argue that, when DX did Raw 1000, they were interrupted by Damien Sandow. And they did this spiel here where they all hit finishes on him and Damien Sandow. But, that didn't hurt Damien Sandow. It wasn't that segment that had Damien Sandow. It was the booking of him and actually Damien Sandow was at most over a couple of years later.
Well, it's not like I'm saying it's a step. Like this will be the first step. Well, it's not the first step, but it's a step in the. If you look at WWE's track record of the eventual losing interest in a team, like it happened with the Ascension, as Dave Meltzer pointed out, it happened, to an extent with Heath Slater. Heath Slater was a pretty over villain after the Nexus stuff. And then he did all the stuff about being killed by legends, and that solidified him as at a certain level. I just don't. If you really want to push a team and make them good, you shouldn't do this. Like you can defend WWE and say, well, this is their thinking, but you can't agree with their thinking.
No, I don't agree with that. And I said the Miz Taraj would be a much better team in this position. My point I'm saying is that this segment isn't what's going to hurt the Revival. It's the subsequent booking that will hurt the Revival. Because if you now book the Revival to be complete chumps, then that's what will eventually kill them. It's not this segment. If next week you just book them to be like chumps again, and then the following do the same thing, the following do the same thing, then that's what's hurt them.
I disagree. I think you had a push, like they were being built up for a bit.
But they haven't had a push.
They had a few squash matches.
They had one squash match.
They've had 2 or 3 squash matches since they came back in December, and this was obviously building up to this. And now they go down again. And then you build them up, and then they go down again. We've seen it so many times.
I disagree.
And there's only so many ups and downs you can take.
I disagree because those...
Paired with all the time out from injury.
Those pushes weren't designed for this thing. Those pushes was just to put them on TV. Like, they haven't been building the Revival for anything. It's not like they've been building the Revival to be world title contenders and then booked them in this segment. They've booked them to be, here are 2 lads that are on the roster. And they are at this very much bottom level. And then they got beat up by DX. So they haven't been building them up. So there's been no ascent. There's just only been a steady, just going straight.
So after the few squash matches and the squash match last week and the in-ring promo, if the Revival were to then this week take out some legends, would you? Why is that not a continuation of an ascent?
Well, no, because they've been going straight and then they've started an ascent.
Well, I disagree with you. Royal Rumble Go Home angle was the last thing on the show, which was... It was disappointing.
Well, it certainly happened.
So it was a weird
This feud sucks. This feud sucks, man.
It was just a weird thing to end on.
Yeah, really weird.
It was really weirdly structured because Kurt Angle came out with... and you're like, oh, okay, you're paying off on all the cameos you've set up throughout the night. To be honest, I don't know what Brother Love can do as a lumberjack in this situation, but fine, bring him out, that's kind of cool. So Kurt Angle comes out and he's got loads of mid-carders, and you've got like New Day and the Usos.
Elias really shouldn't have been there.
And lots of the people, like Boogeyman was there, looking like ripped, and Brother Love, as I mentioned. So they all come out, and all the active wrestlers kind of create a line down the middle of the ring to separate Kane and Braun Strowman when they come out. So they're on opposite sides. And Kurt's saying, this is the main event thing and you shouldn't touch each other. So I don't know why Kurt brought them all out. Like, there was no point to this segment. Kurt Angle, as a GM, didn't be like, we're coming out here for a contract signing. He didn't say, we're coming out here for you to all cut promos on each other. He just brought them all out to the ring and then was surprised they all fought each other. It was like, well, you gave them no purpose to be there. But Braun came out and he got a fairly good reaction. But, like, man, the lack of reaction for Kane was just, it's so upsetting, considering that he's meant to be in this main event feud and he's meant to be pushed like a main eventer, and the crowd just aren't buying into it. And then he was treated like an absolute chump in this segment. So Heyman came out next.
Oh my God, he was great.
And very good. And he said, he's not here for a nostalgia trip. Brock Lesnar is here for a fight. Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum. And Brock comes out. And I guess the deal was, all the mid-carders are there to act as the security. But as soon as you see an angry Brock, everyone scatters. That's a good idea on paper. I don't feel like it translated well in practice, though.
No, and then he kind of knocked out Strowman, and then he got in the ring and F5'd Kane, and that was the end of Kane.
Yeah, he didn't even do a sit-up. I was like, well, Kane's going to sit up.
Yeah,
nothing.
I was waiting for Kane to, like, when Brock or Braun was celebrating, for Kane to attack him, and, like, Kane stood tall at the end of the show. That's what I was waiting for.
So he's taking the pin at the Rumble.
Pin at the Rumble, yeah. But no, like, it was nothing, and then Braun got back into the ring and threw Brock into the barricade, and then put him through a table, and
which looked great. Love a running power slam.
But that was it.
Yeah. It was. There wasn't anything to it, and I guess. So there was that Kane and Brock Lesnar pull apart brawl from several weeks ago,
which was again like nothing.
Really lackluster, and we all rightfully criticised it. But I think now, although it is quite overdone, if you're going to do the big pull-apart brawl, why not have it here? Because you've got all the stars, all the legends, all the mid-carders, and it's your hot go-home angle. You can have like a proper absolute chaos, and that's your go-home angle for the Royal Rumble. But instead it wasn't that. And I just felt like they didn't get over how angry Lesnar and Kane should be after the Braun Strowman pulling over the lighting rig thing.
With the grappling hook.
Yeah, with the grappling hook. I felt like that was completely ignored.
This was a very poor go-home angle for a feud that WWE genuinely seem uninterested in. This really is a stopgap feud until they get to WrestleMania.
So why not have this earlier in the night and have a Royal Rumble go-home angle where all the people who have been entered are in there and they sort of do the, everyone's chucked over the top rope thing and you get that final shot.
I don't know, man.
It was weird.
It was so weird.
Weirdly structured show, way too much throwaway nostalgia for my liking. It felt like it wasn't canon. There was nothing really to progress storylines. I guess you got the Elias and Cena thing.
And yet he's still annoyed about the revival.
Yeah.
It's not canon, but he's still annoyed.
Well, it's
lucky canon.
And it was just to have all of those things within the first hour and a bit, which I'm fine with, but save some stuff for later on in the show.
It was a really odd show. Like, I'm not disappointed in the show because I'll be honest, it was more or less what I was expecting it to be, which was a nostalgia show. Every single segment was just like hey, here's a nostalgia thing, with the exception of the women's match, which was, I think, might be the only thing that didn't have, and Matt and Bray might be the only two things on the card that didn't have anything nostalgia related. Oh, and Miz and Roman, I suppose.
Cena and Elias. Would you count?
Yeah, but Cena was treated like a nostalgia act.
Yeah.
So maybe it was like those three things aside, everything else was just a nostalgia piece. So yeah, that's kind of what I was expecting out of the show. So from that perspective, I'm not disappointed because it delivered exactly what I was expecting it to. But it wasn't a great show. And
what would you give it? Because I obviously gave my Raw review of poor.
A poor? Wow.
Yeah, well, I was going to go average. Like, at the start I was thinking this is an in-awe show, and it just kept on getting lower. And then I was core for a while, and I thought, well, really...
Well, there was nothing core about the show, apart from the opening segment.
Yeah, so then I thought, like, maybe it's average. And then I thought, the more I thought about it, I was like, this is the 25th anniversary. It's a go-home show. What the hell? So I was like, no, I have to, like, put it as a poor.
I think this show should have happened 2 weeks ago. Because if you were just going to do nothing but nostalgia stuff, do that as 2 weeks ago on Raw actually would have helped the build to the Universal Triple Threat match and the Royal Rumble, because they don't play second fiddle to it. And then you had this show as your full-on go-home show for the Royal Rumble. As it was just a really weird episode of Raw, which was all about nostalgia, nothing about the Rumble. And now we got a Rumble this coming Sunday, and they're like, oh, by the way, buy the WWE Network and watch the Royal Rumble.
So what would you give? Actually, don't tell us your 5 out of 5 rating, and we'll quickly do some Patreon shout-outs. That means you have to stay and listen to them.
Or click the timestamp.
Or to click the timestamps. Or just click ahead. So this is for people who have donated $10 a month or more on our Patreon to help us go get live internet, better internet, so we can live stream. It'll be really fun. So you get if you donate $10 or more, you get a Patreon shout out in a WrestleRamble episode. So thank you. Get the tables, Jason Lee Wood.
Apps given the Dudley's return. Nikolai Burger with cheese.
Abdullah the Butcher Alenzi.
The Demon Baron Tom Roberts.
Prince of the Cruiserweights Carl Jenkins.
Fancy Felix Voigt.
JS Wooten.
Noah Edward Enigma.
Joshua School of Hard Knocks.
Robert Allen Now Shut Up.
The man they call Jay Witt.
Furia Shane Farrenhar.
The Jackal Chris Jenkins.
Thunderbird Logan Frakes.
Noah Play the Tombly.
You Screwed Brett Paul Ebner.
The North Remembers CJ Stark.
Stunning Eric Sutton.
Alex Weighs a Fenton.
And finally, Jerry B. Good Smith.
So you can click the link in the video description below to see what offers the Patreon donation brings and how you can donate. But yes, you've had some time to think.
Yeah, kind of low average. I don't think I would give the show poor because it was what I was expecting it to be. So I think it's an average show, mostly saved by that opening segment.
What about like as a go-home show?
Oh, as a go-home show, it's dreadful.
So,
but this wasn't a go-home show. This was a nostalgia show.
Okay. Well, a very tense episode.
It's not a tense episode.
Click the videos in the just below us. Catch up, sound like Kurt Angle. Those trucks.
What do you call her? Stephanie McRang.
Stephanie McRang.
It was on last week's show because he was going to say Stephanie McMahon rang. So Stephanie McRang.
It's like Cockney rhyming style. Just going to hop on the I'm going to give her a Stephanie. A Stephanie McRan.
A Stephanie McRan.
Click the videos that have just appeared below us to catch up with the latest WrestleRamble or WrestleTalk news. Subscribe to this channel on YouTube, and please do pledge on Patreon to help us go live. This has been Luke Owen, I've been Ollie Davis, and that was Rambling.